Today on Scientific Audiophile, we're going to discuss a scientific breakthrough that will save you thousands of dollars. Right now, you're on the precipice of audio perfection. You've bought your dream amplifier, speakers, and turntable. All that's left now is to get rid of those generic power cables and buy the Grandmaster Evolution by Terra Labs. But at $18,000 each, you just don't have the funds. And that is where the Scientific Audiophile can make your generic power cables sound like $20,000 power cables through the magic of science. The problem is real. Electricity gets dirty on its way to your home. How far you live from a power plant just increases the dirt the electricity collects. You can find out how far you live from a power plant by going here. Just click on the link, direct link to map, and find your nearest power plant. Sadly, you don't want to live really close to a power plant because they make a lot of noise. Not just the electricity generation, but the trucks and the people coming and going. You always want to live in a quiet neighborhood that reduces the noise floor in your listening room. But this often means living many, many miles from a power plant, making the AC even dirtier. I personally live 57 miles from the closest power station, but that isn't the whole picture. A transmission substation is used to send the electricity far and wide, and then the voltage is stepped down to a local power substation, where the power goes from the transformer to the distribution bus. Finally, regulator banks are still between you and pure, clean electricity because voltages may be too high or too low. Then there are taps and a transformer drum. All of this happens before the power even gets to your home. None of these products, and I mean none, were engineered by audiophiles. Worse, power companies and accountants are used to find cost savings to make the utility companies fat with profits and your audio worse. Some of you may be very lucky and live in an older development with power poles. If you're one of them, you can get a dedicated power pole for your home. But do not, and I repeat, do not let the power company pick out the power pole for you. They'll give you a generic pine power pole. Have a custom pole made of Bacate wood from Mexico. These have the lowest AC resonance factor. Sadly, I do not live in such a neighborhood, and my attempts to get the power poles to replace the in-ground power grid in my development have failed. Not enough audiophiles in this world, and apparently new regulations make it illegal. Thanks, government. And it gets worse. Did you pick out the power cables in your home? Or did the contractor get generic Romex from the Home Depot? I guarantee you that Romex isn't made by Terra Labs, Kimber Cable, or AudioQuest. So here we are, 57 miles between power generation and your equipment, and the AC degradation is significant. Luckily, there is a scientific solution that can turn that generic power cable into one that sounds like a $20,000 cable. And if you stayed with me this whole time, you're in luck because the cost is only about $10. You heard that correct, $10. And there's hard science behind it. But even if you distrust science, your ears will tell you the same thing, that your generic power cord now sounds as good as any power cord, regardless of the price. Right, Helmholtz? This is the generic power cable. Comes free with the product you bought, that we are going to make sound as good as a $20,000 cable through the magic of science. Now you go to Amazon and buy one of these fancy cable sleeves. They're about $10. You can buy a little bit less or a little bit more depending on your likes in the look department. I personally like the orange and black. It matches beautifully with what I usually wear. You simply slide it onto your power cable, like so, and you've got a power cable that sounds identical to a $20,000 power cable through the science called the placebo effect. Voila, a $20,000 power cable in your hands at no more than $10. And with the placebo effect in full force, you'll hear detail in your music you never heard before, more sense of rhythm of the music as well, and you get the better feel of the artist's true intentions when they recorded the music originally. Oh, and what about all that dirty electricity that got to your home from 50 miles away, 100 miles away, maybe even 300 miles away from the power plant? You're in luck. Any decently engineered piece of equipment purchased in the last 40 years will have a filter that takes those things out automatically. Doesn't matter how the electricity looks getting into it, as long as it's at 120 volts. If you like this video, please subscribe, like, and comment. And Helmholtz and I will be back shortly with another video.